go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the play. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money, you change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas is low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I make that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang. And we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight. Cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day. They still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. But mama, she bad but complain. Cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane and go get this money with Digi. I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang.
I get the bag with the gang. Taking that Zach to the bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that should change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about same. Be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. But fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up my nigga, we different now. I need a Robert, this is my style. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I get a bitch today, she probably a foreign model. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I'm with my gang today, tomorrow never promise.
OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang.
Attention, please. Please do not smoke in the terminal building. Smoking is only permitted in the specified smoking areas.
Zach. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money, you change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas is low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I make that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang. And we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight. Cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day. They still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. But mama, she bad but complain. Cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane and go get this money with Digi. I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang.
I get the bag with the gang. Taking that Zach to the bank. And it be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that shit change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about same. Be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. Don't fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up my nigga, we different now. I need a robber, this is my style. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I get a bitch today, she probably a foreign model. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I'm with my gang today, tomorrow never promise.
OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang, gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate, and then he go get the cake.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the look that drives the girls while I got the moves that really move them. I send chills up and down their spines. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Let's go. I make them hot. I make them shiver. These get weak. Whenever I'm around, they see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like their God ain't real. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. That mic flip though. Hands off the merchandise. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. I am your host with the most from the East Coast, and as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. Folks, we got a special one lined up for you. A little bit of fun, a little bit of chilling time. Glad to link up with the gang. Good to see you all here. Just a quick program reminder. I will be on the Atheist Network group channel tonight at 10 o'clock p.m. For a special response to the conversation I recently had with Dr. Price with Neil on Neil's channel. So look forward to that. There's a link in the description. Be sure to tune in at 10 o'clock tonight to check that out. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, share other videos from the channel, and there are links in the description if you'd like to donate. Appreciate all that. Let's go ahead and get into our communion. Please raise your glasses and hold on to your asses. Through him, with him, in the unity of the flying man, all glory and honor is yours who fly for our sins forever and ever. You may drink. Beautiful. And now for our communion song. This one comes to us from Foy Vance. It is our community's theme song. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
In Dublin, and he's going to play us out. Foy, you're going to play what to finish us up?
I don't know the name of this song actually, but I know the song, and so will you.
Oh, I look forward to this. Foy Vance, take it away.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, all those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel on the cowherd by its tail. Your third fiancé didn't show. Well, sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. And you're always glad they came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, you get out of bed, the coffee's dead, the morning isn't looking bright. You shrink right off to Europe and he doesn't even write. Your girlfriend says she's not a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came.
Hey Maya, good to see you all. Alright, let me go through
You
the
wanna
chat.
be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Cameron, Randy,
You wanna
YouTube
be where you can see
YouTube
troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Paul's in the house. Crystal, Maya. Appreciate everybody for being here.
Boy, Vance. Most common word coming in by text, boy, is goosebumps. Believe it or not, we've had that repeatedly across the whole series. If you want to see Boy Vance's cheeky grin.
All right, gang. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, one of the things that is really emblematic of the cringeness of just sort of the Christian culture we have is the whole "he gets us" series of campaigns. They're really bad. And apparently my man Aaron Brown finally decided to discuss these and take a shot at this. And it's kind of funny because we've actually covered these at least twice on the stream before, but they keep coming out with them. So it's kind of interesting to see other people, pay them some attention, but they're really funny. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead, have some fun, do a little fun Aaron Brown and chill here. But yeah, quick reminder. There you see it. Head over to the Oz Zone, I guess, and 10 o'clock tonight, we'll be doing this There's No Excuse, Dr. Price, featuring my Gnostic informant and myself. And we'll be preparing for this in Gather. So apparently Oz did a stream where I believe he was kind of critical of Neil and myself in our conversation with Dr. Price. That's what we'll be sort of talking about tonight. So if you want to get the inside scoop, with the gang, go ahead and join us and Gather. We're at the Bundy Ranch. And after I end this stream, we'll probably be reviewing, Oz's commentary or about, the conversation with Dr. Price in order to prepare for tonight's conversation. Boom. So I think it's Oz Zone, I think. Yeah. So Oz won. All right, here we go. Let's Aaron Brown and chill.
That boy's a leer. That boy's a leer. His pants on fear, huh?
Oh, hey guys.
Toxiny Spiltano here.
The internet's busiest video boy. That's right. Today, guys, we're going to look at the Jesus Super Bowl ad.
All right, hang on one sec. I need to, I think I'm good. I can go, I need to bring my Brave back over here so I can do studio stuff. So I can do studio stuff.
$20 million.
I'm the internet's favorite video boy, and I do more video boying than this boy, and I'm like to do technical stuff behind the stage because look at me. I'm cool. Look at that. 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 I highlighted a comment and I highlighted a smiley face. Look at that. Look, I'm working back here.
Some organizations spent millions of dollars on these ads, so let's take a look. Ooh!
Oh, that'd be kind of hard though. Yes.
Supercars. Weird.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. Whoa! Oh.
Vampires and cool people, are they not?
What?
Some people got the real
What?
problem.
What?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
what-
come on. Like, what does it mean though? What is it?
Ads, so let's take a look. Ooh!
Wow. Whoa.
That's in the Bible.
Whoa. There's kind of a hot drop though.
Weird.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. Whoa! Oh.
Vampires and cool people, are they not?
Now, I can tell you immediately the problem with these ads is they are trying to make Jesus hip and cool and socially with it and progressive, right? That's the theme of so many of these ads is that Jesus is cooler than cool, hipper than hip, and he really is the intellectual forefront of progress. And again, it's kind of like we talk about in this community. It's a real problem if you want to do that because all you're doing is PR for the snake oil salesman. And I want to almost use the phrase whitewashing, right? You're trying to try to, like, you know, paper over all of the problems with your religion when really it's a lot of these conservative religious ideologues that are the problem of these social issues. So it bothers me because let's keep it real. The core of Christianity and the core of conservatism in this country are pretty much one and the same. And whoever's behind this Jesus Gets Us campaign fucking knows this. And then it's like they're gonna make these ads, which essentially feel like they're projecting almost more to the left, like telling like we're wrong, we've all been mistaken. You know, really, Jesus is progressive as shit. Also, I'm in Gather. Like I said, come link up with us at the ranch. Lena, can you hear me? Lena's gone. Great. We killed Lena.
I can hear you, Jay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. But yeah, feel free to holler if you wanna get in here.
Sounds good. Roll the tape.
Yeah, so when I saw these ads, I went like this.
Okay.
I literally said
Out of
that
touch.
because it's like, okay,
Oh,
so
you said the Out of Touch Hobby Lobby owner is part of the funding. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. They're on that tip for sure. And again, like, I don't know why, and this is holler at my man James Apperson, link in the description. But I don't know why people want to do this to us. Like we gotta stop. Like, no, I'm not letting. And I gotta be straight up with you guys. And I may part ways with you guys on this, and that's okay, guys. Believe it or not, we can still be friends. We don't have to get along about everything. We don't have to agree about everything. But like, I'm not letting people rebrand Christianity. I'm not. No. See, and a lot of it is gonna be your fault, right? Because you friendly, love your enemies, building bridges of love and understanding type of atheist, you're gonna allow Christians to totally rebrand Christianity in your channels and on your Discords and in their conversations with you, and then they're gonna come over to me, and I'm just not having that shit, and then they're gonna treat me like I'm mean. But really, it's your fault. Really, it's your fault for letting them pretend that Jesus is progressive all of a sudden. But it's okay. It's okay. I hate your sin, not you as a sinner. Okay? So we can still be friends, but I just want you to understand that when I got to smack all these people down, it's because you keep setting them up and sending them over to me with these false expectations. Okay? But I'm not now. Now listen, full confession, I'm a hypocrite, okay? And hypocrisy is really just a sign of growth. But yeah, I was on that hippity-doo-dah Jesus shit when I was a Christian. When I was a Christian, I was literally considering myself a hippie and progressive as shit and loving and accepting of everybody. And being a follower of Jesus was rebellion against the man because we were going to take care of the needs of people and we didn't need to rely. Like, I was on all of that shit, okay? But I'm not having it. I'm not having it. I grew the fuck up. I saw the truth of the situation, and so no, I'm not having it. No, I say no to progressive Jesus.
Some religious group put up these ads about Jesus, during the Super Bowl. It's a little bit of a red flag.
To spend that amount of money.
Millions and millions of dollars. It's a red flag. But like anything that's sort of mainstream politics or whatever nowadays, of course this is a complete self-satire, total hall of mirrors, inversion, black magic. Okay, here we go. He Gets Us is a subsidiary of the Servant Foundation.
That's in the Bible. No.
A Kansas-based charity also known as the
Yeah,
Signatories.
Cameron, we are supposed to agree about everything, but, fuck Lupin.
Signatory, huh? that says it exists to inspire and facilitate revolutionary biblical generosity. Oh, wow. Now that's in the Bible. Between 2018 and 2020, the Servant Foundation donated more than $50 million. Wow.
Wow.
To the Alliance Defending Freedom, a nonprofit that's led big policy fights over abortion and non-discrimination laws in the Supreme Court and in states around the country. The nonprofit is designated as an anti-LGBTQ hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh,
now,
boy.
again, see, boom, that's it right there, y'all. That is it right there. Carrie Ann, you called it. You called it. There's some fucked up shit going on with these people. And the audacity to try to rebrand Jesus as this fucking progressive, liberal, fucking rebel hero supported by a fucking anti-abortion LGBT plus hate group. Just going out of their way to lie to us. Just going out of their way to paint a delusional picture. That's crazy. And also sloppy. Like they're supposed to put layers and layers and layers between them and hate groups, but that's how blatant Christianity is. They can just get away with this shit in plain sight.
Ooh, yikes. That's a little
weird.
You know, so this ad is like, man, we gotta stop all this fighting.
We gotta stop all this fighting in this we gotta stop doing this. And we gotta stop doing this. And we gotta stop.
C.K. Louis, the comedian.
We gotta stop him, man. We gotta stop all this division and hatred in the country.
By the way, we're backing up a dump truck of money to help fuel that very problem.
We're the ones. By the way, we're the ones kind of creating that problem. Just how it is. It's just what we do now. It's just how it is. How things go. The Alliance Defending Freedom says it helped draft the 2018 Mississippi abortion law, the Mississippi law, at the heart of the Supreme Court decision last year, allowing states to ban the procedure, and also helped argue the case before the High Court. That's amazing. Why is everybody so upset? Why is everybody fighting so much? Oh, it's because us.
Then you know Jesus gets us, though.
Actually.
Bro, but Jesus gets us,
Guys,
man.
calm down. Calm down. We're just doing the exact things that make people fucking pissed off. You almost gotta admire the audacity of these absolute lunatics. You know what I mean?
I mean, if Jesus was alive to see this.
There's big news surrounding some of the commercials slated to air, including 2 that are about Jesus Christ.
Who?
They're a part of the He Gets Us campaign. It's backed by a nonprofit group that bills itself as aiming to reintroduce people to the Jesus of the Bible. But just saying the word Jesus is riling up some people on social media.
Just saying
Jesus Christ
has got people going like this. And, like, okay, that's enough.
One person tweeting, "Glad I'm an atheist."
Oh.
Others calling the ads cringe personified and are using religious freedom as an excuse to hate and discriminate.
Yes, roast them.
I saw that on
Facebook. Get them.
Certainly was a backlash that we've seen on social media. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is symbolic of probably, arguably, the greatest cultural erosion in the history of our country.
Wow.
I feel like when you look at the numbers.
Who's this guy? I was a former NFL player. Okay. I guess they didn't have space to put former NFL player / theologian / philosopher. So / philosopher would have been really good.
Are decrying this as Christo-fascist. What is wrong with appealing to everyone? What is wrong with spreading messages of love, which is what Jesus Christ stood and died for?
Hot tag, Lena, you're in. Explain to these fools what the fuck, why this is Christo-fascism and why it's fucking not okay to be spreading this bullshit in the name of Jesus. Lena, you got to know your buzzwords. You got to be ready for your buzzwords to drop.
They said Christo-fascism. I mean, it's kind of a redundant word at this point. I mean, yeah, like obviously there's different levels to it, and like I don't want to say that it's dog whistling necessarily, or just whitewashing, or what it is, but it's certainly not acceptable. And it's important, I guess, that we call out that it's not acceptable whilst also being respectful. And I think I haven't done that so well in the past, and so I don't know if I want to comment necessarily.
So do you feel Lena? What's going on, Lena? You feeling guilt over the strength of your voice?
Well, I know that I have strength in what I say. I'm just not convinced that the way I've been coming across has been the sort of loving and kind person that I want to be, and I want to emulate the virtues that I see Christianity fail to live up to.
I think that's admirable. But I think for a lot of us, we're looking for education, right? So, like, in all seriousness, I think we need to have the conversation about fascism. We need to have the conversations about how bad this stuff is. And I think especially here, right, because this is our channel, this is like our space to really speak to that. And then also, I think that, man, it's like these are the tough conversations people need to have, right? Like, I hate to say it, but I really think that trying to convince people to understand why we think Christianity is a bad thing is more important than convincing them that it's not true. And I hesitate to say that because, I'm such a, at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, it's all about what's true and what's not true, and, just stop believing this shit because it isn't true. But the truth isn't nearly as valuable to people as I think it is, or as I'd like it to be. And I really do think that if people cared about the truth, the stuff that they would need to realize their beliefs aren't true is ubiquitous. It's been there. There's no motivation there. And I think the reason there's no motivation there is because they've already predetermined that, at least for them, their religion is good. Like it's a morally good thing for them to believe what they believe. It is morally good to believe in God. And so they're not even, look, we're having conversations with the wrong people. The people we're having these debates with and back and forth, these apologists, and we're having all these conversations about what's true and what's really not true and how do you really know what's true, blah, blah. We already fucked up because we're already talking to the people in the group who don't care. They don't care. They're having the debate with us because they've already looked into our side. They already read and they just don't care. Right?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty telling from the way she mentioned Christofascism and the disbelief in her voice, even at the idea of it. And so that gives me hope because they're clearly recognizing that they're getting challenged in the culture, and so keep up the good fight is my position.
So for me, like, that's where we have to go because that's how you get a normal person to actually care about the fact that it's not true. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying the fact that it isn't true doesn't matter, but I think you've got to really challenge, am I on the good side for people first? And I think that's going to cause a lot more discomfort. Okay, now I'll go hear you out about, is it true or not? Because I've at least heard you try to sincerely tell me you don't think it's a good thing. And I think that that's the hardest part for us as non-believers, especially with family and friends, because we do really believe they're good people. And so the hardest thing we can actually do is look them in the face and tell them that we think they're doing something immoral. Does any of this make sense, Lena, where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I mean, if you're engaging with a Christian who you've met, right, I think the status quo assumption should be that they're a fascist, And then it's on them to prove that they don't actually believe the horrible stuff in their ideology, and maybe they're a better person than what their God is, or teaches, and maybe they're more liberal, right? And so there's room to understand people, but yeah, start with the assumption that they're a Christo-fascist and they're out to destroy democracy, but treat them with love and respect.
Right. I want you to be able to say more about that, but Nitty's here. Link in the description. But Nitty, do you want to say anything about this real quick?
You know what I see? First of all, praise be unto Prophet Muhammad and all of the blessings that he rains down. Because the real moral degradation are those uncovered women. I mean, what are they doing outside of their homes? Right? Like, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. Like, the real, like, gross fascist stuff that underpins, or just the fact that they can take their Bibles out in public and read and interpret them themselves, and that they don't need to go to a priest to do that. Like, a couple hundred years ago, they would be the degradation of society. The life that they're living now, and imagine that they want America to be, maybe, is not the America where their asses are going to be rich as hell and on TV. You get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand how they don't see that if they really want to dive down this barrel, they're just going to be digging forever and digging their own graves back into their houses and losing their voices and positions and power in society. It's just ridiculous. Yeah,
absolutely. And so...
did I have y'all going? I don't think I fooled you that I converted to Islam.
No, definitely not. So, all right. So, gang, I'm gonna go to the dictionary, right? So, when we go to fascism, we have a system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to a stringent governmental controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. And I feel like that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what this movement is all about. And so now you have these people doing this multi-million-dollar campaign to present Jesus as essentially anti-fascism, as essentially a progressive liberal figure, but they're doing it in an effort to literally fund a discriminatory regime that is trying to restrict people's freedom and, you know, more or less enshrine their bigotries in our actual laws. And on top, and actually undoing rights, right? Trying to give us less freedom than we already, in a sense, had when they got started. So go ahead,
hasn't the Republican Party always been trying to look hip and cool? Like, hasn't
I think so. In their
it's
own
kind of
way,
a return to tradition in a way with this ad,
right? Of pretending that they're really, it's more the faux populism thing, right?
Right, because what we've been hearing from Christians for the past, for the Trump era was not this sort of, at least in the mainstream image. I don't remember if there was a Super Bowl ad in Trump's years that were just as obnoxious. There probably were, but
no, surprisingly.
All right, but
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I feel like there's a shift back to trying to fall back on the love and kindness aspect of Christianity and try and sweep the fascism that reared its ugly head with Trump a bit under the rug for now.
I just had a thought, gang. Are they helping us? Because is this an example of something we could have a conversation potentially with friends or family about to where it's like, hey, let's take a look at this now, because that to me is going to be something a lot of Christians identify with. Oh, this commercial resonates with me. Jesus loved everybody, and he was all about racial harmony, and da 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 da. Because this is going to appeal to the warm and fuzzies about Jesus for most Christians, right? And then you pull it up. All right, now let's talk about the organization behind this. Let's talk about the fact that they are actually, actively anti-abortion. They're literally designated. They're anti-LGBT, and they're actually designated as a hate group. To me, it's almost like they're telling on themselves, because this gives us an example of how there's no hate quite like Christian love, as Uncle Bobby would say. And this is almost like a real-time example of a hate group papering over it with this Christian love nonsense.
Well, the other thing too is, I guess when you use their service or whatever to get affiliated with a church, right? Because you gotta find Jesus, because where is he? He's not in your heart, right? He's not really omnipresent. You got to go find him. So, right. But what they'll do is, if Christians or your Christian friends or family like this ad, what they don't realize is that this organization doesn't discriminate as to what church it's trying to send you to. So for many Christians, that's actually a big problem, because, well, they're not going to send you to the ultra liberal Methodist one. That's probably not on their alliance list or whatever. But
this was James' whole point, is that the nearest the nearest church is probably especially
or John South, Stanley type bigot. Shit, or
yeah
or Mark Driscoll's church or something, right? Hey, go check out Grace Unity Baptist, on the corner of Bro-Tucky and Station Wagon, so yeah, they don't really care about the content or the doctrinal commitments on a more down to earth level. They're just all about, let's try and make as many people as Christian aligning as we can, but they don't actually care about the truth of the lived contents of what that Christianity would mean for the people who are maybe desperately seeking some kind of community or involvement or love or sense of place and well-being in their life. They don't really care. It's all just about making you a part of their machine.
Yeah, 100%. Lena, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it kind of speaks to the apathy in our culture, where you're right, most Christians don't really even take their own religion that seriously. So it's how seriously are they going to take the political implications of the institutions they're supporting? There's a whole lack of awareness of the class struggle that's happening, and the power dynamics that religion plays such a central role in, at least in the U.S.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And something I want to kind of ask you as a follow-up is I just want to mention this straight up. I think your voice is really important in our community, and it's especially strong on these issues like fascism and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I know you want to treat others well, and I appreciate that. That's genuinely your personality, but I want you to continue to help us call these things out, because these are conversations I want to have with people in my own life, and I get motivated by having the conversations in our community first, and I get motivated by hearing from people who think about particular aspects of this more than I do. So I feel like that whole thing is really new to me. But I'm being genuine, that's really moved me a lot more lately. Lately I'm I don't know, there was a time when I think I would have wanted to sit down, let's say my family or my friends and get into the counter apologetics. I would have wanted to talk about the problem of evil and why the Kalam doesn't work, and you know that you don't need God for morality. I don't know. Now I just want to have the conversation about how Christianity is bad and it's immoral and it's and it's narcissistic and you're in an abusive relationship.
I mean, when it comes, when it comes to pushing like atheism into the culture, I don't think that the debate avenue is the best way to go or the only way to go, right? Because that draws out not only the worst of Christians in the defense of it, right? But it just doesn't target what most people use it for, which is what we've been talking about.
Exactly.
Making atheism more popular is about connecting it to, I think, the progressive ideas that are already fairly popular in today's youth. I mean, most of them support fairly progressive policies here in the U.S., and it's a matter of getting stonewalled by the boomers in politics. But the way to shift that, I think, is to get the religious institutions to be less funded, and so people need to make that connection between pushing the social issues that they want to push whilst trying to like maintain Christianity. It's like you can't do that. You gotta you gotta recognize who you're supporting.
Yes. And you touched on a couple things that I think it's really important to highlight. Number one being that when they make these commercials and these ads like this, it's sort of a concession that they've already lost the culture war, right? They have to portray their side as inclusive and loving everyone and bridging the gap because they know that's what people want, right? It's like a confession that they have to use our values to market their bullshit because most people actually support our values, right? So they have to pretend to champion them themselves, which is damn near like it's like a fucking confession that that's the way to go, right?
If you ask the average Christian, they would tell you Jesus is against war, right? Jesus isn't a warmonger. And yet when you think about what supports the military-industrial complex, it's Christians.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's a really good point. And then the other thing being that I think the young people, most people already are sort of on our side about these progressive ways of thinking. And what it made me realize is that's where I think the disconnect is. Like, I'm glad we had this conversation. And this is literally a connection I'm making in real time. A part of what I'm getting from, kind of the back and forth we've been having here is what I'm now identifying is we all say this. We have a problem with Christianity's influence on our world, or we have a problem with Christianity's influence on our lives or our past or our community, our family, our friends, whatever it is, right? And then when we actually have the conversations about the problems of Christianity, we don't talk anymore about the problems that it actually creates in our world. We shift. And then we start talking about the evidence, the science, the logic, the philosophy.
Well, because the theist shifts it. They shift it from the effects of the ideas to the validity of the ideas themselves. Because
I think it's probably good. Yeah.
Well, one, it's an attack on their worldview, obviously, and it's an attack on their identity. But like it also reinforces the position they're in.
Yes, but I think that's probably. I certainly would agree with that, right? Because I think that's where it's almost like that's where they get off getting us sidetracked, right? Is shifting the conversation to be back to all these things when like when we're trying to have these other conversations that they don't want to have. So, but yeah, I'm really grateful for that because I've been trying to figure out what it is. It's almost made me feel like I'm mean, right? Like, am I just a mean person and I'm bored talking about the evidence, and now I just want to talk about this moral stuff? Go ahead.
Because to most Christians, it's a personal relationship that gives them comfort and hope. And so when you point out that this crutch that they have, never mind it not being true, the fact that it's really harmful and dangerous to society, and it'd be better if not only you didn't have these views, but you condemned them, because if people aren't condemning them right now, then there's not enough pushback to stop fascism.
100%.
That's kind of how it works. You have to have a voice against
100%.
it. And so, yeah, it's this equivocation where it's like, well, I just have Christianity for my needs, and it's so inappropriate and offensive of you to attack my personal religious views. In a way, it is, because you're attacking their psychological defense mechanisms. But they don't see the harm that it's doing, and so you have to paint the full picture for them, and you have to encourage and inspire people to be better.
Yes.
To see the harm that their ideology causes, and to really wrestle with where they sit on the. I mean, they have to start doing their own moral thinking, and that's something that Christianity forbids. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'm really grateful. You've really encouraged me today, and I hope encouraged the rest of the community, because this is going to sound silly, y'all, but I'm really making this connection in real time right now. And it's kind of a process, right? Like, first I was deep in the counter apologetics. I needed to go there. I needed to wear all that shit out so I knew I was on firm ground, right? I needed to know, okay, we do have a response to all the nonsense. But then I just started to feel totally dissatisfied with that. And then when we started having all these other conversations, I was like, wow, okay, now I'm starting to unpack why it had this negative influence on my life. And I think that was a shift, right? And then the next step was sort of saying, well, damn, we need to really be challenging other people on these more interpersonal or social aspects of, the negative side of the faith. But I wasn't really connecting it. I was still just thinking, it's just going to be more effective because it's going to make them more uncomfortable, right? Like the question right now is people are comfortable because they wrap themselves up in the love of Jesus and it's all comfortable and warm. And if we make it icky and sticky and gross, they're going to be less likely to do that because they're like, oh, people don't praise me anymore for my faith. People don't make me feel good anymore about being a believer. I get negative pushback from my friends and family. Okay, so that was a step. And then today, the step I made is connecting it to that's why that other stuff doesn't resonate as much with me anymore, because we start from the place of I want to talk about the negative influence that these beliefs have on our lives and that they have on the world. And then we get the conversation sidetracked when we're talking about those issues, because that's not about the effect it's having on the world. And when we start bringing it back to, narcissism or the narcissist playbook or abusive relationships or bigotry or fascism, all of a sudden we are circling back to actually talking about the effect it has on our world and on our lives. And I'm realizing that's why that is connecting so much more for me. And it's also still the reason why I think that's the stuff we need to be talking to our friends and family about, because that's a connection we can make to them. And also, Lena, here's another thing. I think it will make them more receptive to having the deconstruction conversations with us, not less, right? Because here's what I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking of this in real time, so feel free to push back. if I come at you and I'm like, let's say Lena, say you're a Christian, and I come at you like, yeah, Lena, I don't buy the bullshit of the Bible. I think your religion's false. And you're like, why? And I'm like, well, you know, I don't think it's morally, I don't think it's philosophically coherent, or, you know, I think there's problems with the historicity of the biblical account, right? Or right, it almost will feel to them like you're picking on their religion, and you don't really have a good reason to be, like, maybe you don't agree with it, or maybe some of the facts you don't, you know, but why the fuck
like, why
are you
but her scholar?
Yeah,
Bible.
exactly. Why are we out to lunch on you don't agree with it? It's just so weird, right? But when you come at it like, I actually think Christianity is at the core of some of these hate groups, or I think that, you know, it's really hurting our democracy, or I really think that there's a ton of immorality that is in the doctrine that Christians are ignoring.
Yeah, just being pointed, right? Do you worship Yahweh? Is this what Yahweh said right here in this passage?
Yeah.
And go through the rape apology. And I don't think most people, like we saw with Neil's stream, I don't think most people are going to sit there and dance and defend the atrocities in the Bible. They're gonna wonder why you're attacking their religion, and then maybe you have to have a sort of a meta conversation as about, again, why these issues are so important to you. But let me touch on, in doing so, because what you were saying is making that connection to them having been in their shoes, right? It's kind of how you say,
right.
They see the atheist standing in front of them, but they don't see the Christian it took to get there.
Right.
I see in the same way, like, they see the anti-fascist standing in front of them, or the leftist progressive, you know, the evil communist standing in front of them, and they don't see the Christo-fascist it took to get there. And so, yeah, just pointing out that even the most liberal acceptance of Christianity is a denouncement of democracy and a denouncement of human rights. It's a master-slave relationship through and through, and that's just bad theology. I think we are all one of those Christians or one of those atheists who say, you know, even if it were true, we wouldn't worship this monster. Right? What are you, nuts?
Yes. And matter of fact, I've realized that too. That's been some of the frustrations I have with sometimes the conversations we have with Christians in this space, where I feel like we're not quite honest about the way we see God as a moral monster. And so we have these conversations where we let people, again, define God out of that moral monster role, and then we give him a pass instead of being like, wait, I don't agree with that. I actually think this God of yours is pretty fucked up, dude. I just wanted to mention real quick, I know Maya came in. I'm not sure if they're just hanging, but Maya, did you want to say anything? Nah, you're good. Okay, cool. Let us know if that changes. Just chilling. Cool. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Lena, did you have more? Do you want to roll tape for a bit? And
I mean, I did kind of want to touch on something about Jordan Peterson,
Let's do
and
it.
just how, like, there's an avenue of Christianity that kind of slips between the making it metaphorical and therefore can write off the immorality of it.
Sure.
But then you look at someone like Jordan Peterson, and he's still pushing the right wing grift. So it's like people are still getting roped into bad politics that I see as having the same underpinnings, the same ideological framework as a lot of the ideas in Christianity. And maybe I'm biased and wrong on that, but I think that's pretty clear.
No, I think it's a really good point, and I remember this even as a Christian, where I just think so much of that stuff is at the core of it, where you can make it as progressive as you want to, you can make it as metaphorical as you want to. Ultimately, it's still going to bring you back to the particular values it instills, right? Which are patriarchal and
Yeah, he's like, they're not
fascist and all
true,
of this
but we
stuff.
need these values.
Yes,
And it's like, no, we
exactly, exactly. So it isn't really helping any, and I wish more people would see that, because I think they think making it metaphorical
We
gets
need
them away
voices
from the
fighting
moral
against
problems, but it doesn't. It doesn't get them away from the moral. It doesn't get them away from
If
the
you
moral
want to
problems.
actually be a hip and cool progressive, you need to fight against what Jesus stood for.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, you ready to roll tape?
Roll the tape.
All right.
Look at the mote in your own eye before you look at the one in mine, or something like that with the Bible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much got it, but or whatever. I love that. Well, I don't know, whatever that thing says, whatever it is, whatever that thing says. I feel like if any of these people touched a Bible, you start smoking. Oh, hell yeah, let's kick it over to Kennedy. Yeah,
Vitriol.
great.
Where does it come from?
And, it's passive. That's something that you have to do on your own. That's a kind of conversation that you have to have with yourself, not, a hate-filled, angry, othering conversation, which is just eclipsed all reason in our society. So I think it's a really good thing. And maybe it will start conversations with parents and kids and neighbors. And, but again, I do believe.
Wow, amazing. How much does Kennedy get paid for this? Let's check this out. This is probably the best interview moment in interview history.
Hold up,
Kennedy interviewing Jay Mascis on.
Go ahead.
That woman does not listen to Midwestern radio, where every single day I would drive to work as my Christian and non-Christian ass, and you turn on 98.9, The Answer, featuring Dennis Prager. The radical left is out to destroy American values and the roots of this country. Like, otherizing, dividing language. Excuse fucking me. It's being blasted into everyone's ears who's drive to work in the Midwest. So
it's
shut
honestly
the fuck up.
Yes, Nitty, you're absolutely right. And honestly, like, I hate to say this, but I'm not hearing a lot of the talk, even on our side, where people are like, we gotta be less divisive. I get, loving people and trying to make real connections. And I especially get that with the people in your life. Your actual friends, your actual family, your actual community. But we're not the cause of the divisiveness. Therefore, we're not to blame for acknowledging it and persisting in that world. Like, so, for instance, like, if you came up to me and talked to me in my high school, and I said to you, there's some fucked up ass people here, and they're fucking racist, and they're a goddamn threat to my safety, and I can't stand these motherfuckers, and I wish there would be consequences for them. I wish this fucking school would do something about them, because I can't stand this shit. It's fucking bullshit. Right now, you could sit there all goddamn day and say, well, Jay, aren't you being divisive? Shouldn't you be trying to love everyone? I mean, well, it's not like the school is flying a banner outside that says we hate the black kid, and you are here and most of us accept you. But it's like you could say all of that all day long, but you're still not acknowledging the fact that when I the fuck show up just to exist, these motherfuckers have all types of problems and they're all over my shit. And instead of getting all up in their shit and bringing them some consequences, you're over here telling me I should be nicer to them or some shit like that. And it just feels terrible. It feels awful. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to funnel anyone who might consider joining those people to your side, right? And to not alienate the on the fencers, the more liberal Christians, right? Because like most Christians aren't out to get you.
Sure.
But they're supporting an ideology that's definitely out to get you.
Right.
So, just because they like wave the flag or step onto the Christian side doesn't mean that they're a moral monster.
Yes, and that's exactly.
Yeah, we have to see the Christian. You have to see the trees for for the forest.
Yeah, and that's kind of the distinction I'm getting at, to where it's like, we don't have to be divisive and angry towards them as individuals, right? But we also should not accept them pretending like we started this, or like our divisive language is a result of us being fucking assholes or trying to draw battle lines, rather than we're saying, no. We're the people that culture others, right? Like, when they say it is an abomination for man to lie with man as they do with woman or whatever, that's the thing that then causes them to other queer people. So then when you're a queer person, you say they're coming for us, it's fucked up for somebody to be like, well, stop being so divisive. So that's the distinction. The distinction is to say to the Christian, you may not be coming for me, and I don't want to other you because you're my neighbor and I fucking love hanging out with you, right? But I also need you to understand, when you tell me to stop being so divisive, I can't control the fact that I'm the opposition to people who clearly have problems with people like me. And if you really want the divisiveness to stop, you need to go to the people who are insisting on discriminating us and othering us, because that's actually the source of them. If they laid down their arms, we'd do the same thing tomorrow, but they won't. And the problem is, you won't even start the conversation with them, but you insist on you're insisting on telling the victim to go along and get along, when you're the one getting slapped upside the head every fucking day, right? Like,
let me paint a scenario, right? Because say someone slaps you, right? There's a wide breadth of options between turning the other cheek, which I don't agree with. Right. And I think that is, victim blaming and abusive and toxic. But there's a wide breadth between that and killing the person, right? Or punching them in the face or slapping them, or
right.
What is the appropriate response?
100%.
And so I look at abusers as victims themselves. People who abuse aren't right in the head. I'm not going to psychoanalyze them. I'm not going to make excuses, but I have a historical materialist context to everything in the world. And so when I look at bad behavior, I see it as the result of bad systems. And it does no good to essentialize people and to name call, but we have to call out the bad behavior, and the way to do so is to emulate better behavior, right? You want to give the carrot and the stick, but I try and emphasize the carrot, because punishing people just sows more negative energy, right?
Yeah, I mean, hurt people, right?
So it is a tall order to ask someone who's been hurt and is continually being hurt by Christianity or by any group or ideology to not fight back. But the pushback should always be, as I see it, in self-defense. You should only fight as much as you have to secure peace and freedom. And I think we can do that I think we can do that better.
Yeah. But
than if we mock and show derision and scorn, and alienate whatever chance we had of gaining the on the fencers who can't see clearly what's going on and just see the surface appearances.
Yeah, it's just tough, because I think the shortcoming of that approach is just how much the other side is built to counter that approach. It's hard to be reasonable in a situation where the other side is just going to take advantage of your reasonableness.
But they'll do it either way, right? Like if you scoff at them, they'll call you a scoffer and they'll point to their Bible and say, "Haha, you proved me right."
Sure. Yeah. It just becomes I just think there's a point you got to have tough conversations, right? And so I'm a person who's
again,
like,
it
you're
depends on
gonna...
the Christian, right? If you're dealing with a
Exactly.
bad faith actor at a certain point, I'm not trying to hold anyone to any moral standards here, right? Like if you go off on Christians, that's your response, and that's like to judge that, I see is like, I don't know, it just carries the same kind of toxicity, right? Like I see what's ideal for the world, and then I see what the reality is, and that gives me a lot of patience for everyone on all sides, even though I know who's in the right and who's clearly in the wrong.
Yeah, no, that's profound. I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. And yeah, I think we're on the same page about that. I appreciate that.
On TV in 1993. Check this out. Trying to get anything out of Jay. Here we go.
What do we have coming up, Chris? Soul Asylum is up next. A new video called Black Gold, yes or no? Vaginal mancosa, semen in the mouth. Wrong.
Oh, no. Come on, Jay. Give her something to work with. Yeah, if you don't know who she is, Kennedy is a...
I think I had a kind of a thing for Kennedy when I was a kid, seeing her on MTV.
But she's like a Fox News regular, Fox News host. She's a big Fox News person, but her story's kind of funny because she was, I think, 20 years old here. So she got like mega famous at 20 years old. Then in like the 2010s, she's like, I'm a libertarian.
Social conservatism was really bringing me down. And I realized as time went on, I wasn't a Bush conservative. I was really a libertarian.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes on all the money I made when I was, since I was 20 or whatever. But she's not a social conservative. Like, she doesn't like any of that stuff. And now she's on Fox News where you have to do the social conservative crap. So Kennedy, you goofball, you. She's doing that. But yeah, great contribution from Kennedy on the show. Yeah, I think, you do what you do, talk to your kids about it. You see it, maybe talk to your... Oh, great. Thanks, Kennedy. Wow. Amazing.
And, it's passive. That's something that you have to do on your own. That's a kind of conversation that you have to have with yourself.
People really need to look inward on some of these issues and examine, what do you think about... Oh, man, wow. I never looked at it that way, Kennedy. That's really something.
Oh man, I always get amazing ideas on this channel.
I think Fox News ratings would absolutely go through the roof if they did Jay Mascis Tonight with co-host Kennedy.
For all the Gen Xers to tune in.
And Kennedy's like, so how about these college campuses?
I was just going to notice that it's so amazing that Fox News covers this way, because if there was a multi-million-dollar ad on the Super Bowl promoting Islam, they'd be losing their shit. And this is
or for atheism, right?
Yeah, or for atheism. Oh my goodness. You're so right. They would be absolutely on some satanic panic nonsense.
That's the frustrating thing, is like we're always having to deal with the worst actors, because those are the ones that are obviously going to be in the news, right? Those are the ones going to be bought out by the billionaires to push their propaganda mill.
Right.
So it's like that paints such a negative picture for the rest of Christians. But Christians need to like own up and accept that like those are their guys. Those are their people up there pushing their ideology.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and I don't know. I sometimes genuinely think that part of the mistake we're making is allowing the people in our lives to play naive. It really does hurt me to say that. It's really, it's an uncomfortable aspect to all of this that
I mean, it's a playing
trying to
naive
confront.
For I think most Christians, in just the aspect of subconsciously not wanting to confront the issue, and it being a lot easier to say, well, you know, most Christians aren't real Christians, and so you know, it's a fallen world, and those Christians are really satanic. There's just always an out to whatever particular Christianity they have.
Yeah, and also I just think, I don't know. I don't know.
We just really have to hyper focus on attacking.
I think they just want to sweep it under the rug, right?
In the world, and not as individual, you know, personal worldviews. It's such a American, like, individualistic kind of like framing of the whole situation.
Yeah, like part
instead of a collective approach to what's best for society and what ideas, and which, I mean, we already know, like, you know, according to our best scientific institutions, that you know, most of them aren't Christian, so it's like, yeah, it's a slow moving cultural shift, and as it dies, you see the most blatant examples of hypocrisy and lack of self-awareness as they charge us with being more self-aware.
Right. It's so,
which we can always do. I'll take that in stride.
Yeah. Facts. We could definitely always be more self-aware, but yeah, it's really hard because even the young Christians in my life, I find their faith hard to believe. I genuinely, like, we have these conversations where I have to pretend like I'm schooling them on the basics. Like, I have to hold their hand and explain to them, oh, well, yeah, I really think that if you look into the scripture, you'll find that, yes, the Bible seems to have some problematic ideas as to, you know, what people who don't believe in God, you know, deserve, or what their fate is. And I know that you said you don't have any problems with gay people, but yeah, it turns out that a lot of the real the anti-queer movement is led by religious bigotry, and yeah, those religious bigots, they keep pointing out to some of these scriptures that many people say might, perhaps, may a little bit infer that, you know, God's not quite all the way on board with our queer fam. Do you understand why? Like, the truth is, Lena, I don't believe him. I'm just putting it here to y'all. This is my YouTube channel. It's my space to keep it real and be.
I don't believe a lot of them.
I don't believe you. I don't believe a lot
of the ones that are.
But I'm saying I don't believe the ones in my own life, Lena. I don't believe my mother.
Yeah.
I don't believe my grandparents. I don't believe them. I don't believe that shit. Cause I gotta believe y'all been doing this shit for 60 fucking years and you didn't notice. I can't. I don't. No. This at some level was about the bullshit to them. Their heaven, their fate, their hope, meaning, and purpose was just more important. I can't. I just don't buy it. I don't. I gotta have a conversation. The conversation's not gonna go anywhere if I lead the conversation with, you know, I really just think you've been being a piece of shit human being for the last 60 years and you refuse to fucking pay attention to, you know, how all of this really works. It's just not productive. It's just not gonna go anywhere.
That might just be the case, Jay.
I have to walk them through it, but man, I'm telling y'all, keeping it real with y'all, I don't buy it. Go ahead, Lena.
I mean, I don't know how traumatic your family's lives have been. I know that, you know, everyone faces trauma, and I know you've faced considerable trauma. And so I think it's safe to assume that your parents faced trauma in their lives. I know my family's faced a lot of trauma.
Yes.
And so, like, when it comes to my mom, I think there is an element of it is more important to her than the truth. When I consider the relationship, the marriage that she was in and the abusiveness in that, and like when she turned to Christianity and how much of a role that played in giving her a social life. Not to mention, a worldview that's on the surface, pretty hopeful and happy, right? If you ignore the ugly bits.
Yeah.
And that's what she did, and I mean, it was a really great thing at first, right? And I think we all have fond memories of going to church. So they're at a different place, and they didn't evolve the same way because of reasons. I don't know what those reasons are, but
yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, Stephanie, we're kind of riffing off of the whole "He Gets Us" campaign ads, but yeah, we're in the Pinochle Lounge if you want to come hang out. But yeah, appreciate a lot of these great comments, chat.
They're really doing wrong. And Jay Maskus is like, he's just holding a guitar looking down.
And yeah, Mike has an invitation. We're in a members only gather right now, but I think Mike has the link and passwords.
For some reason, he's like what?
But I might have to get him in gather another time.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Mike, feel
just
free
the
to
whole
call
show,
in.
you can hear the background noises in the studio.
Oh man, I really got lost on all this Kennedy stuff.
Okay, so anyway, Chuck Kirk, one of our favorite guys.
Could go to Restream.
Okay.
Chuck Kirk, one of my favorite newsmen.
What does he say about this?
The marketing group behind He Gets Us has done one of the worst services to Christianity in the modern era. Oh my God. Oh man.
That's in the Bible.
And then Chuck says,
No.
The Green family, those are the people that started Hobby Lobby, or Holo as we call it, are decent, wonderful people who have been taken for a ride by these woke tricksters. So sad. So that's great. That's classic Chuck. Chuck's problem isn't that these commercials are made by the very people who are causing the problems that are being depicted in the ads. Chuck's problem is that they're woke. It's classic Chuck. I almost kind of felt sorry for
And
Charlie.
this is what I mean about this whole movement not having any fucking balls. Like they're always cowards. Like and I think I think the same thing might be the theme of the conversation about Bob Price, where they say and do the most weaponized shit, and then when there's pushback from it, it's always somebody else's fault, and they were being misinterpreted, they were being misread, they didn't mean for it to really come off that way. And so it's amazing that you get pushback, and for them, now this is their moment to shine. And in this case, rather than even, the takeaway from these people is that it's actually the woke marketing people who took the conservative organization for a ride, rather than the conservative organization clearly trying to hide its agenda behind some pseudo-woke nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, it's Christian infighting, and it's an easy way to paint it as more of the opposition, right? Everything's the liberal agenda,
right?
And that they don't like. So that's not surprising there.
But yeah, that's crazy. It's like, no, why don't y'all stand behind it? Once you say it, stand by what you said. Everybody means what they say until there's pushback.
Remind me of what the Hobby Lobby situation was, because I think, was it them or like Michaels that had like homophobic policies?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I don't remember what the Hobby Lobby thing was. I just know that like there's always been Christian debate over whether they're acceptable or not, or deemed satanic.
Yeah. I know they've gotten themselves caught up in a bunch of controversies.
Because that is a huge
bunch
like
of shit. It's a big business.
The LGBT issue is a big issue for Christianity.
Oh, I know the thing. I think they got involved in like buying up maybe some fake relics and shit like that. In the 2014 case, Burwell versus Hobby Lobby, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the contraceptive mandate promulgated under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act violated privately held for-profit corporations' right to religious freedom.
So they're saying as part of healthcare, Hobby Lobby needs to provide, contraceptive care. And Hobby Lobby is like, nah, we're a private company, so we don't need to give
do
our
that
employees
because
basic health care.
Because it violates our religious freedom. They can eat a dick.
The other day, because I watched some video where he was talking about how I uploaded this to the Patreon. Where he's talking about how he saw some Eagles fans, guys wearing Eagles jerseys, the day of the Super Bowl, and he said, "Good luck, guys." And they said to him, "We don't need luck." In his own words, this so rattled Charlie.
This objectively. By the way, I did not want the Eagles to win. The whole day I was bothered by the fact that the Eagles fans are, we don't need luck. We're going to win. Like, okay, pal.
He even says in this video, he's like, I couldn't enjoy the Super Bowl because of those guys. He is a truly weird guy, because he's doing that. He's very concerned about these balloons. He can't stop talking about these balloons. This writer, what's her name? Liza Featherstone wrote a really good article about this in
You're
Jacobin.
violating our right to violate
Values
your
play a
rights.
big part in this drift. While evangelical leaders lean politically right, often very far right, Gen Z is strongly empathetic to the needs of the most marginalized and favors government action in solving societal problems. Millennials and Gen Z are racially and ethnically diverse, up against serious financial challenges, and are concerned about racial and economic justice. Oh.
Yep.
It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for the right-wingers who pay for these ads. They take a positive view of gay marriage and view immigration far more positively than older Americans.
Yep.
These values are incongruent with the far-right Christianity that has dominated the culture for decades. It's no surprise that young people aren't interested in the homophobic, economically punitive, and patriarchal Christianity of Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott and mega churches.
But look. I love everything about this until the fucking end. Because I hate to say it, but they gotta stop blaming everything on quote unquote fundamentalist evangelicals. They're all fundamentalist evangelicals until fundamentalism and evangelical becomes a bad word. Then it's something only other Christians do. Put a bunch of Christians
and most mega churches. It says at the end,
most mega churches, right? They the liberal leading
not,
ones. They not. Oh, go ahead, yeah. Every church is about that money. Go ahead, Lena.
They're not the traditional, and yet they still fight against progressive policies and maintain the status quo.
100%. And again, it's just people got to leave it alone. Put 100 different Christians in the room with 100 different interpretations of Christianity, and sit here and go, who here doesn't think they should be, their faith says that they should be evangelizing? Not very many hands. Who doesn't think they have the fundamental true interpretation of Christianity? No, I mean, so everybody's a fucking fundamentalist evangelical until it becomes a dirty word. And what it does is it lets all the other Christians off the hook. Oh, I'm not one of them far-right, Trumplican fucktards, MAGA hat wearing Jesus lovers. So they're not talking about me. Not our Christianity. Exactly. So But overall,
not my Jesus is actually what I've heard a lot.
And the reason it's important because they got to understand what I'm trying to say is that it's not just that they're falling out of line with the far right. They're falling out of line with Christianity. They're falling out of line with the homophobic, economically punitive, and patriarchal nature of all Christianity, period. End of story. And that's a powerful combination because you sort of have the Great Awakening, which is nuns being the fastest rising religion group and people deconverting in probably at historic rate. And then at the same time, you also have the fact that you have, a generation coming up that's starting from a far less indoctrinated sort of baseline to begin with.
I saw that on Facebook.
You know, she points out in this article, it's pretty interesting that a lot of young people, and I could imagine seeing this in like surveys or something, that young people have sort of a favorable view of Jesus himself, mostly because he was into helping poor people, stuff that like modern conservatives are disgusted by. So I agree with Charlie. I want to help out Charlie. I think we need an ad campaign that promotes the Jesus that Charlie likes, American Jesus. We need ads for American Jesus, okay? American Jesus. His self-driving Tesla, messes up and he flattens a little kid, and the rest of the ad is him just trying to find a place to get rid of the body so he doesn't get in trouble. American Jesus! Yeah. One of the ads is American Jesus putting in his credit card information to go to Hustlers University. Ooh, here's a good one. Here's a good American Jesus ad. American Jesus dies of COVID, and then he rises again on the third day, and he's seated at the right hand of the Father, and then he returns to judge the living and the dead, but he gets COVID again. His ass gets COVID again, and he dies again. And he keeps doing this because he has to come back and judge the living and the dead or whatever, but he keeps catching COVID. And dying, and then
and again, like, I don't know if people understand how sincere I am when I say this, but one of the real things that the nails were already in that coffin, but a simple test I have for most Christians is, so this Jesus of yours, this God of yours, He pretty much has the cure for COVID, right? Like, he could cure COVID, right? But he doesn't for whatever reason, right? Yeah. Your God can go fuck himself. I don't think people realize what I'm saying is there are certain generational game-changing shit that touches a whole generation and, like, you never forget. And there's certain shit you never want to. They always say you should live in interesting times, my friend. There are definitely things that can make the times you live in a bit too interesting. And to me, that list includes war, pandemics, famine, and, most severe natural disasters. And it really has a deep impact on me now that most theists literally believe in a God who could prevent these things, but has morally sufficient reason not to. Again,
or does it to punish people?
Yeah, right, because it's part of the curse to begin with or whatever, right, absolutely. I don't care. I don't if somehow you need some God knowledge that could, make all of that the way to go, then count me uninterested in acquiring God knowledge, because I don't care. Whatever you would have to know to have a morally justified reason for all of this, I don't even want to know. So literally, God can go fuck himself. And again, like, if y'all understand the power of what I'm telling you, I'm giving you some of the easiest counter-apologetic gold life has to offer you. I know it's simple, I know it's obvious, and you think that makes it not that valuable because you didn't have to read a whole bunch of books or watch like 1,800 YouTube videos. But like, think about it. Why the fuck do we even need to have conversations about logic and rationality and what is the epistemology of the axiology of the ontology by which you derive the absolute basis for the foundation? Like, what? Are you serious? Why do we need to spend years studying the Bible but make sure you've got the proper Greek translation that goes back to the original Septuagint? Like, what are we talking about all of that when we could be like, so you're a Christian, right? Yeah, I'm a Christian. All right. So your God is capable of curing COVID right now, correct? Oh, yeah, definitely. My God can do anything. But he hasn't, correct? Yeah, he has morally sufficient reason not to. Okay, your God can go fuck himself. This conversation is over. Did y'all see how easy that was? Now, don't act like I ain't never done nothing for you. I know you like to be long-winded and high-minded and super intellectual, but look, I'm trying to give you the keys to the kingdom. Just look them straight in the face and be like, so you heard what all them 100 people died in that hurricane back a couple days ago, right? Yeah. So your God could have stopped that, right? But he didn't. Yeah. Yahweh can go fuck all the way off, okay? Like, keep it simple, y'all. Keep it simple. Actually, speaking of keep it simple, I got to take a simple piss. I will be right back. Let's roll some tape.
You're like, what is it, God?
You know, he sees Jesus back in heaven again. He's like, you got COVID again? Just get the vaccine, you little asshole. I mean, American Jesus is doing all up is what I'm trying to say. You know, there's one ad where American Jesus loses his ass on a crypto scam, but then he dreams secretly of ripping people off in a crypto scam of his own one day. American Jesus does have those holes. American Jesus does have those holes in his hand, you know, but it's from improper gun handling. American Jesus mama's so fat that American Jesus goes on those like no-fap, you know, men's subreddit type crap, and he's like, porn is ruining the West. You know, he types that, porn is ruining the Western civilization. But he's also at the same time into the strangest porn you can find on the internet. American Jesus watching step great-grandmother porn or something. He's going like this. Here's the article that Chuck Kirk posts on Twitter. What is this site called? Revolver. It's one of these weird, it's one of these weird sites that has like gold and silver ads all over it. Like you can barely read it because there's just like gold and silver ads just littering the crap. News. Oh, okay. Hobby Lobby and other conservative, quote unquote conservative evangelicals are behind huge ad campaign using Jesus that's in the Bible to promote illegal migrants and LGBTQ agenda. Yeah, so they're literally like, it's not hateful enough. They're using Jesus to not be hateful enough. These miserable bastards. These people who are, funding all of this hateful stuff that's going on and all the divisions in the country and all this stuff, they're just not hateful enough. I'm Charlie Kirk, and I hope I can keep this going. That's for sure. Because of the fact of that. Okay, here we go. At a time when our country is at a breaking point. Ooh, at a time when our country's doing this. And they're acting a little weird. Is at a breaking point. Our resources are spent. We're deeply in debt. Our border is flooded. Our citizens are sick and dying from illegal drugs. And our children are being check this out. And our children are being indoctrinated by the perverted LGBTQ mafia. What? Oh! What? Why on earth would so-called, quote, conservatives, unquote, push this type of messaging? Well, according to some guy, a reporter from Religious News Service, it's because they want to change supposed, quote, negative public views.
Go ahead, Lena. Sorry. Just repeat that.
Oh, just saying a real mafioso would be real pissed off by being associated with progressive
Yeah, the woke LGBT mafia, like. Yeah, it's definitely not a thing, my guy.
Unquote about Christianity. This is, imagine, listen to this. In other words, they want to submit to the left's godless agenda. This website is why we have to do what I call grandma check. Okay? Check in with our grandma or grandpa. Be like, what websites are you looking at? What websites did you accidentally fall into? Okay, let's watch another one of their ads. The He Gets Us campaign. Here's another one of their ads. We asked artificial intelligence to visualize love. Oh. They did audio too, it sounds like this. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, that's about right. This looks like AI kind of crap, okay. Okay. We then asked it to visualize love the way Jesus talked about it, okay.
That's in the Bible.
Forgiving a friend who has betrayed you, okay, that's pretty sweet. Okay, it's nice. It is nice, okay. Spending time with prisoners, okay. Feeding the hungry.
And none of these are shit the Christians want to do. They don't support prisoners. They you know, they're the reason we have more people incarcerated than any other country in the world. They won't feed the fucking hungry. What the fuck was the other one?
I kind of crap, okay. Okay. We then asked it to visualize love the way Jesus talked about it, okay.
Oh, and this one pisses me off too, because this is more that love your enemy stuff, forgiving a friend who has betrayed you. It's not always a good idea. It's not always a good idea. It's not always a good idea. And also,
I want to know what verses they're talking about here.
Yeah.
So this is the turn the other cheek stuff. It's more of that toxic crap.
Exactly.
Forgiving a friend who has betrayed you. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Okay, it's nice. It is nice, okay. Spending time with prisoners, okay. Okay. Feeding the hungry. Ooh, okay, feeding the hungry. Pretty good.
Cool. All right, so then it's time to support a national minimum wage. Right? Sorry. Let's separate these two things. We should have a national minimum income, and then we should be increasing the minimum wage. We should have both those things, right, Lena? And that's going to help make sure we feed the hungry and nobody starves, right?
I mean, eventually we need to decommodify food and make it the basic human right that it is.
Oh, right. And that's
and we can automate that process, I think, fairly easily. And I think that we could eliminate most of the people who work in the food industry and really just get organized. But that's going to require changing the status quo, which Christians are currently preventing. So yeah, the Christians love poverty and homelessness and starvation.
100%. Because I was just going to say, like, it's funny that it must be the right who's leading the charge in decommodifying food and pushing the agenda to raise the minimum wage and pushing the agenda to get us a national minimum income. Oh, wait, no.
But instead they're polluting our environment.
Yeah, they're the people who vehemently oppose every single one of
Reducing
those
environmental
things.
regulations, causing all sorts of horrible disasters that kill all sorts of people.
Exactly.
Well, we just had like another thing in Arizona. I don't know if that was related to like poor regulatory standards or not, but like, yeah, it's really not surprising. I think that the thing in Ohio was due to negligence and cutting corners. So, I mean, it's the capitalist paradigm that we're operating under, and Christianity kind of defends that. So it's like a broader scope of how Christians don't do anything and add to the problem. But because they donate to their local food bank, they feel like they've done enough.
Right. Yeah, and we should do a stream sometimes on that whole thing too, where they use that little bit of charity to overlook, you know, the bigger problems. but they still assess themselves to be sort of like, more charitable and more giving than the rest of us, which is, it could be a whole stream in and of its own. All right, I'm gonna let this roll.
A lot of AI art seems to have a very Neil Gaiman, like what you would see like in an illustrated Neil Gaiman kind of crap to it, See, this is all wrong. This is not what Charlie Kirk and, like American conservatives like. Feeding the hungry? American Jesus, like, he's riding around in an SUV or whatever. American Jesus inherited a construction company from his family, but he drives by homeless people. He shouts at, "Get back to work!
Get back to work!"
He's balancing a DQ Blizzard on his lap, and he goes out the window, "Get back to work!" If we were to give some kind of like constructive criticism on these ads, though, the arpeggiated piano thing has been going on since I was like a kid with like documentaries. Now it's become satirical. Now it's become, this is what a documentary is. Oof! Oh boy, one big problem with this AI, feeding the.
Sorry, were you saying something, Lena?
I was just saying I like the documentary, enticing semi-dramatic music.
Oh yeah. I love, these things always have fantastic production in my opinion.
Hungry. You're trying to get those raspberries. You're trying to get those scones. Dirt scones, I guess they are. Dirt scones on a turtle shell. This disgusting AI came up with, which is why we got to stop them. Dirt scones and old raspberries on a turtle shell. This poor guy can't even get it because his hand's deformed. Look at that. It's sick stuff that we got to stop because it's wrong. This is a godless pervert AI.
Like the whole situation that's so destitute.
Well, there we go, guys. I hope you're having a dirt scone and raspberry on a turtle shell type of day. And it's Wednesday.
Like compare this image, like the image of that one street in like the middle of LA where there's like, it looks like there's zombies walking around. There's like the streets just like covered in like needles and garbage and stuff. It's like,
wait, there's a real street
the situation in the U.S. has gotten so much beyond this like idealized image of what poverty is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lena, do you have any closing thoughts about this, I don't know, the conversation we've been having today?
Was there an ad for atheism at all that played during the Super Bowl?
No. Not that I know.
Sure
Not that I know.
Put up enough funding for that.
I don't. So this is kind of one of the things you said earlier that I think was really important, is that we do have to actively push back, because otherwise we're not meeting what we're up against with sufficient resistance, because what we're up against is so active and it's so well funded. And, somebody brought up in the chat, I think Carol, just about how we have no representation in government. And I don't think we could fund an effort like that. At least we don't have a lot of organizations that could pull that off. And I don't know, I think that's one of the things I'm hoping we're participating in. I'm hoping that I believe that we're in the early stages of the Great Awakening. And maybe even something like when we say like, oh, we've missed the time for, content creators to make an atheist channel and like get big in the YouTube algorithm. I think that's only true within a very particular niche in a very particular space of YouTube where that's worn over. I think for most people, that whole thing's just starting, and you can get in now, and it might not be the same sort of explosive growth that those channels experienced, especially not early on in the pandemic. But I still think we're just kind of getting started, and a lot of people are going to be new to this. And it also reminds me a bit of teaching. There's something called like the Endless September, which is, if you track the course of an individual student, they will say track beyond intro biology, right? But we're always going to teach intro biology. Why? Because there's always going to be a new class of freshmen next year who don't know a goddamn thing, right? And so the same thing is kind of true in this community, where a lot of us may outgrow a particular type of content, but there's always going to be people who are new to all of this, right? But even in the bigger picture, there's still just a burgeoning need for secular people like ourselves in all of these other walks of life, right? So even if we're saying, yeah, there's a lot of atheists out there, I don't know if there's really that much of a growth opportunity. That's just with regards to like atheists being on the internet talking to other atheists or apologists about atheism, right? That says nothing of, you know, people really hammering the need for, say, atheist in representation in government. I think you'd find a lot of leverage there. People be like, man, nobody's really talking about this shit. Or if you were to try to get out there as a candidate, like, it'd be a tough road to climb, but certainly you'd be doing something that is not ubiquitous and is not, you know, oh, we've been there, done that, we're past that, there's no opportunity there. Even something as simple as, I won't say simple, but something as seemingly ubiquitous in streaming communities as gaming or podcasting or covering the news, I think there is demand for those things with, at minimum, a non-religious flavor, decidedly, but probably even with like a strong atheist forward flavor, right? This, because it's the same way Christians love tuning into Christians with regard to everything they do. They want to believe the announcers of their fucking football games just got home from church, right? They want to, right? They want to, you know, and even in space, there's nothing to do. They're so encouraged to happy to hear that their teachers are Christian and that, you know, all of that type of shit. Oh, they want to go to a Christian pharmacy, right? We're still at a place where we're like, oh, building community around atheism means finding other people who like sit around and talk about atheism all day, right? Where, as opposed to realizing, and this is kind of what we've been talking about in our community, James has been talking about, stuff like that, like, what are the next steps, right? So that we're like, yo, you know, just as an example, y'all should check out Cameron, right? Because, you know, if you're trying to get your health and fitness routine together, you know, you could support Cameron, who's, you know, excellent at that, but, you know, like, supporting a fitness instructor who's decidedly, who you know is an atheist, right? So you could help the atheist community in that regard and build community over there. Or, you know, if James or somebody starts doing like a gardening stream, you could support that, or support atheist cooking channels.
I'll mention Pride. I think that's already a strong allyship there, and everybody, you know, has a sexuality or lacks a sexuality, I should say.
Sure.
For asexuals, and you know, everyone should be proud and of who they are and understand themselves, and how they relate to others. So like that's something that can always use more involvement and like, you know, mental health services, like just volunteering.
So much stuff.
Volunteering, stuff, getting involved in the community that you live in is actually one of the few ways that you can make a difference. Because I don't think, you know, we're gonna be popping their echo chambers, but if we can poke at it some more,
yes,
I think the general tide that you're talking about when it comes to you know, the internet revolution, and, you know, the revolution of the civil rights movement and of progressive ideals, you know, hopefully culminating in some serious change down the line. I think that's something that needs to be fought both on the internet and boots on the ground, and you guys can do that by volunteering. Volunteering feels really good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a fun time.
All right, gang, I think we're going to wrap it there. Please don't forget that tonight we'll be on the Atheist Network group channel here. The link is in the description. We'll be there at 10 p.m. Eastern for the There's No Excuse Dr. Price stream featuring Gnostic Informant and myself. If you would like to, please join us now and gather. We're gonna probably relax for a little bit, play some Uncle Bobby. We'll have a little mode time here at 420. And then I'm actually gonna play some of Oz's stream where he reacted to the conversation with Dr. Bob. So you can join us sort of for the pre-stream preparation and strategy session here and gather. Yeah, come join us. And otherwise, we'll see you next time. Please tune in tonight over on the Atheist Network group at 10 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, we'll see you and gather. In the name of the Darwin, the Dawkins, and the Christopher Hitchens, science bless you all. Poof!
Zach? Why she wanna leave me alone? Saying all I do is wrong. No rights when they been left turns. Playing that she gotta let it burn. Saying that the hell's not a home. Sunshine cause you heard it all before. Sometimes she don't wanna be alone. Most times she don't want me gone. She don't know I try my all. She don't know I sprung in the sun, but I'm going in the winter, so we good to the fall. Remember how I told you I get it and I win. Now I'm got it, you ain't answer my call. Wonder if I've been moving too strong. Maybe I just been moving too boss. Really hate when the feeling get lost. Nowadays she just dodge my calls. In the game throwing laws like Paul. Young legend Miss John like Wall. And I wish you never met like Carl. Thick game, lay it down like law. Made plans but you canceled them all. I was just trying to splurge in the mall. Now I'm home stacking bread till you call. It's time to roll. She tryna slide. We smoking Zah. Stop acting shy. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl. It's time to roll. She tryna ride. We smoking. Stop acting shy. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl.
We smoking that side. I'm trying to get high. She said that she not ready for lust. I waste my time. I got demons in my closet. I can't hide. I did all my exes wrong. They wish I died.